Did you hear about the woman who was rope jumping in Brazil and they forgot to attach her rope? Let's get into it. Yes, a woman was reportedly rope jumping. I believe she was 21 years old. Not to be confused with bungee jumping, they're slightly different. And there was 2 to 3 people, I guess helping her, like get ready, and they just launched her off the bridge without attaching the rope. But the story honestly just gets a little weirder and weirder the deeper you get into it, because the men didn't forget to attach their rope, because they have a rope also because they're so close to the edge. So they didn't forget their rope, but you can clearly see there's no rope on her. It was on the ground tangled up. So I'm like, y'all didn't even have it ready to go? Like, it's a little odd. And then they just forcibly just toss her right off the bridge. And it's called the Skeleton Bridge, which I also found to be interesting. And there's allegedly been other accidents there before. Brazil has a lot going on this year. I've seen videos of, UAP activity. Now this happened. So Maria Eduarda Rodrigues de Freitas, a 21-year-old woman, was unalived on June 13th, 2026, after falling 130 feet from the Skeleton Bridge in Limeira, Sao Paulo. During a rope jumping activity, instructors launched her in an airplane pose without attaching her to the safety rope, a critical equipment failure witnessed by onlookers who shouted warnings as she fell. Legal action: Brazilian police arrested 3 men aged 27, 32, and 42 and charged them with homicide with dolus eventualis, a legal classification indicating they were aware of the risk of unaliving but proceeded anyway. Authorities stated the team was unregulated and lacked authorization to operate at the site. An off-duty nurse reported the victim was alive upon rescue arrival, but later succumbed to injuries. Can you imagine being thrown off of the Skeleton Bridge with no rope attached and then surviving, falling 130 feet and then succumbing to your injuries? Like, crazy and awful. The victim was buried on June 14th, and the Limeira City Council plans to sue the federal government for failing to secure the abandoned bridge. So here is a picture of the bridge. Like I said, she was 21. Apparently, the young woman who aspired to become a physical education teacher asked to be launched from the bridge airplane style, with 2 instructors hoisting her above their shoulders as she spread her arms. The instructor said they do not remember whether they forgot to attach the ropes or who was supposed to do it or who failed to check. You had one job, bro. But the fact is, the ropes were not attached to her. Footage shared online shows the 2 men in white helmets launching Freitas into a 40-meter, 130-foot abyss without attaching her to any security equipment, as an onlooker screams at the instructors to attach her to a cord. The instructors are wearing harnesses that appear to be attached to a security rope. Rope jumping is an extreme sport that differs from bungee jumping in the type of cord used and the resulting motion of the fall. Bungee jumping uses elastic rubber cords that create a vertical bouncing effect, whereas rope jumping uses low-stretch climbing ropes that convert the fall into a horizontal pendulum swing. So some say that the men took off running into the woods right after it happened. I'm not sure if it was a complete accident why you would go that route. To me, like, that just looks a certain way. But I would love to know what you think in the comments. And as always, everything I said as far as my opinion is alleged. Be sure to like, share, and follow. But only if you're interested, because you never want to miss anything.